Welcome everyone. My name is Sean, and today I want to give you guys a semi-positive update on a story that we covered on this channel, and this of course was the story of the dog mom who jumped on the hood of a vehicle of people who tried to steal her dog, a French bulldog, which, as we discussed on this channel in the previous video, is a very hot dog to be stolen because there were so much, because a suspect was finally arrested. We have images of the suspect for you guys to see, despite the fact that certain news agencies have decided to blur the image of the suspect. Gee, I wonder why they're doing that. And we also have text messages that appear to at least have this one person of the four in custody and could lead to her being prosecuted, or at least would lead to her being prosecuted in a serious way if she committed this crime in any other location but the city of Los Angeles. But before we get into that, I want to thank everybody who signed up over at actualjusticewarrior.com/join.
Give me the money. Give me the money. Okay.
And thank you to the podcast listeners, Spotify, Apple, and Google's podcasting platform. So first of all, I gotta give credit to the YouTuber known as Decoy Voice for posting a video that referenced this particular story, because that's how I was made aware of the update to it, and that's how I'm able to deliver this to you. Also, I'm gonna steal his joke about the text message from the Daily Mail and pass it off as my own, and all of you are going to be none the wiser. But as you can see,
behind bars today, 21-year-old Sadie Slater, arrested by the LAPD Friday night. Slater is accused of robbery, dog-napping to be exact. The French bulldog she suspected of stealing, Onyx. But while Slater's in jail, there's been no sign of Onyx, leaving his owner, Ali Zacharias, heartbroken.
They arrested 21-year-old Sadie Slater, and initially, I was going to come down really hard on KTLA for this blurred photo right here.
After numerous tips and an abundance of surveillance video, the LAPD's Gangs and Narcotics Division says the U.S. Marshals Service worked through the night to make an arrest.
Because this is Sadie Slater, the suspect, and her face is blurred, but I realized through the course of trying to look into the origin of this photo, because I saw it blurred at places like the Daily Mail and at the New York Post, that this photo was actually blurred by the LAPD themselves, which appears to be some kind of a policy that they're instituting to protect the criminal. Normally, I would lay this at the feet of news agencies. For instance, CBS in New York does this for minority criminals, not for white criminals, where they blur the faces of suspects. But this appears to be something that the LAPD initiated, and considering a bunch of left-wing cities decided they weren't going to release mugshots of the suspects that they arrest, I believe that this is another left-wing policy being instituted in the police department in order to obscure who's actually committing the crime. And a lot of people will actually say this straight up, that if you saw the mugshots, you might make some racial assumptions, and they can't actually have that. So again, we have an instance of a government agency trying to make the criminal less accountable for their crime. And need I remind you that Sadie Slater, the suspect in this instance, who was positively identified by the owner of the dog, who was actually arrested because she was trying to sell the dog out of the location where the marshal showed up, attempted to murder a woman.
A woman clings to the hood of a speeding car in downtown Los Angeles.
As he started to go faster and faster, I started to say, I'm about to die. This is my death. Right now, I'm about to die.
Ali Zacharias was hanging on for dear life and the life of her beloved French bulldog puppy, Onyx, after thieves snatched the dog in broad daylight.
It was horrifying.
Who jumped on the hood of the car because she would rather kill somebody for the quick profit of $2,500 to $200 than actually get a job, go earn a living, and make a positive impact on our society. Now, these are some of Sadie's social media posts. This is the image that was actually released from the surveillance camera of her actually walking up to the dog to take it in order to load it into the car. So she appears to be the primary initiator behind this robbery, but need I remind you, there's actually additional suspects out there online. Now, one of the reasons why I'm harping so much on the description of this particular suspect and the additional suspects is because I was actually watching the Philip DeFranco show as I was editing my own video on this, and Philip DeFranco decided to deliberately obscure the description, which was
There were 3 females, all overweight, and then there was a male driving, no tattoos, They're all wearing like sweats and like t-shirts.
And only described the car, and then he decided to add that he hopes that there's enough identifying information out there in order to find them.
And as far as the dog nappers, they took off in this white four-door Kia Forte with a missing hubcap on the front driver's side, and unfortunately their license plate appears to have been whited out. But hopefully there's enough identifiable information that some of these scumbags get caught.
And apparently there was, but Philip DeFranco didn't want to report that to you because Philip DeFranco is like many left-wing progressives, where they'll see a story like this, they're probably dog moms themselves, they would probably be horrified if they were victimized by a criminal in this way, but at the same time, they don't want to ever be considered somebody who's signaling anything that could be negative related to a minority group, which is kind of amazing because not all black people steal French bulldogs, so the idea that they think that way in their head says a lot more about them than the people who actually want the individuals who committed this crime to be held to account. But unfortunately, this is Los Angeles, so this person not going to be held to account in any way, shape, or form. Now, to be fair, even though it is being widely reported that this woman was released the next day, they actually did put up, and this is likely due to the fact that the marshals were involved in this, a reasonable bail amount for this individual. They put up a bail of $70,000. Now, of course, being a part of a criminal organization that steals people's dogs and sells them from $2,500 to $200. Yes, I'm stealing that joke from Decoy Voice, and I did it twice in this video. Is a lucrative business, so this person was able to get out of jail in one day. I'm not sure exactly how she did it, but normally in bail situations, you only have to put up about 10% of the bail in order to get yourself out early. But what I find to be more interesting than how she actually paid for this bail amount is what this woman is going to be charged with, because it should be a given that she should be charged with a felony grand larceny. That is because these French bulldogs range in price between $2,000 and $10,000, and this particular dog in question has a bunch of rare features that put it up on the higher end than that. It has different color eyes, it has a unique coat color, and all that. But what else is she going to be charged with? Because in this particular instance, they assaulted this woman with a vehicle. I call it attempted murder. When you drive into a woman, she gets on the hood of your car during the course of you committing a theft, and then you decide to accelerate to 40 to 50 miles an hour and fling her off the vehicle. That is an intentional act, not a reckless act. That is premeditation right there, which, by the way, could be established in a second.
The suspect is a 21-year-old woman by the name of Sadie Slater. She was booked for 211 robbery with a bail amount of $70,000. The reason the marshals were involved, it was due to the violent nature of the original crime.
A heart-wrenching dog napping caught on camera.
So I'm very curious how the charges are going to break down for Sadie Slater, who was willing to murder a woman in order to steal her dog in order to make between $2,500 or $200 on this particular dog. And yes, Decoy Voice, that is the third time I stole your joke without giving you credit. Also, in addition to this person's horrible negotiating ability, what made me laugh was this message right here, which reads, "Do ya know who would want to buy him for $2,500 or $200? Not exactly the smartest criminal using Instagram Messenger in this way, but this should actually lead to a pretty solid case in this individual, in addition to the fact that we have the surveillance video where you could see her face. You have the positive ID from the victim, which was not just the lineup ID, it was the mugshot ID, so two separate identifications, and I think this should lead to a serious conviction, but a serious conviction also depends on whether or not the district attorney has the will to charge appropriately, has the will to actually stick an attempted murder on this attempted murderer who thought that her quick profit from this dog was more valuable than that woman's life.
I'm really happy they found her, but I'm obviously not happy that they don't have Onyx. I care way more about getting Onyx back than what happens to the perpetrators.
So the reason I said that this was not an all the way positive story is because they haven't recovered, at least at the time of me recording this video, the dog at this moment in time. She has not had her pet returned to her, and considering that now we have one of the 4 suspects arrested, the likelihood of harm coming to the dog at this moment in time is actually pretty high, definitely significantly elevated, and that is a major problem and a major thing to watch out for. And unfortunately, if you harm the dog beyond the point of stealing the dog and putting it through this whole thing, you're not going to face that much more in terms of additional consequences for it. So there are strong incentives to do that. I hope if they don't want the dog on them anymore, they just release it. It ends up getting discovered and then it gets returned to the owner. But I feel like, or I fear that this is going to lead to the death of this pet. And that's absolutely disastrous. And again, these people should be charged with attempted murder because they were all participating in this robbery. They all assaulted this woman when she tried to go into the vehicle to try to retrieve her dog. And when she jumped onto the car, they accelerated, sped up to about 50 miles per hour at 2:30 in the afternoon because they had no care for this woman's life. They were willing to kill her for this dog, and I think we should see some serious charges for all of these people who acted as a group, who acted in concert. So again, the call is out there. If anybody knows anything about this missing dog, very unique features and all of that, please report it to your law enforcement. That is how this woman ended up getting caught. Hopefully she flips on her fellow co-conspirators, but we don't know what the result of this is going to be. I'm hoping for the best possible outcome at this moment in time. I do care about these people facing consequences, but considering it's the city of Los Angeles, I fear that they won't. But hey, those are just my thoughts, so let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. If you like the video, you show them by leaving a like, you subscribe for more content, you follow me on all my social medias, you support me via the support links in the description of this video. This has been me updating you on this dog napping story. Till next time.